So whoever said a job in data protection was boring? Hello, welcome back to the Data Protection Diaries. In this video, we are going to be talking about the news that came in last week around what happened at Twitter and the Twitter hack. For any of you that are new to the channel, this is the kind of thing that we do. We're looking at news, information around the data protection world. And if you're not new, thank you for coming back. We do really appreciate it. Whatever you do, please do give this video a like, comment and subscribe to the channel, because that all really helps us just reach a wider audience and helps us get this content out to more people. So that'd be really great if you could help us out with that. Last week, two things happened. The first thing, on Wednesday of last week, obviously we were notified through a number of press outlets and through Twitter themselves that a number of high profile Twitter accounts had been hacked, and those Twitter accounts were then being used to solicit a Bitcoin scam, whereby if you paid a certain amount of Bitcoin, you would get double returned back to you. A number of accounts was affected, including the account of Donald Trump. Why not? Looks like he's probably a Bitcoin enthusiast. Most people realised that this was a scam, and the tweets were taken down within about 15 minutes. But we do know that approximately $150,000 worth of Bitcoin was paid through to a private account that is untraceable, obviously, because it's Bitcoin. The focus has really been on what happened, how it happened, and how the hell anybody managed to get access not only into Twitter, but into the account of the President of the United States, which is a pretty serious issue. Obviously, a lot of this has been overshadowed by what was happening in the European courts last week, and also the bringing down of the privacy shield in the Max Schrems 2 case. We're not going to talk about this in this video. We'll talk about that in this video, because to be honest, there's a lot of ongoing stuff, and there's a lot of commentary already available, and the Twitter hack seems to have been sort of pushed down to the bottom of the pile as a result. So that's why we're focusing on this today. So what happened? Well, there's a number of reports that Twitter super users, so people with specific access to specific accounts and internal systems, were manipulated. Access was gained to those accounts, and then tweets were sent specifically from within Twitter using those super user accounts. This caused a lot of interest out in the press as to why individual super users from within Twitter would even have that level of access and would even be able to send a tweet from somebody else's account, especially the President of the United States. Come Saturday, so Saturday just gone, 15th of July, 18th of July, Twitter have released an update on the incident explaining in more detail what happened. Now, it has become incredibly clear that this was a very sophisticated social engineering attack. What that means is that Twitter wasn't specifically targeted from a technical perspective. It was targeted from a human and people perspective. That means that the hackers looked for Twitter employees. They looked for potentially vulnerable people. They looked for information and insights on those people, and they then used that information to garner further information, garner further details, and eventually accessed login and password credentials of a small number of internal employees. By gaining access to this data, that then gave the hackers access to internal systems within Twitter. So no two-factor authentication would have protected them there, because they already had the passwords and they already had the credentials. Once they were inside those internal systems and operating as a super user, they managed to access around 130 Twitter accounts. Of those 130 accounts, 48 of those accounts, they managed to initiate a password reset. Now, of course, if you're initiating a password reset on an account, the last thing you want it to do is go to the email address of the account owner. So being a super user, they've obviously changed the email address, so the password reset has come to their designated email address. They've reset the password, let themselves into the account, and then proceeded to issue a tweet, which is what happened in the case of the President of the United States. What we now know is that that means that the tweets did not come directly from Twitter employees. Nobody within Twitter can tweet on behalf of an account. It has to be done by the account owner, which has debunked one of the myths about this particular incident. The other thing that we know is that for around 8 people that were attacked as part of this activity, all of their information was downloaded using the Your Data function available on Twitter, whereby any individual can download all of their tweets, all of their comments, and all of their activity. That was carried out for around 8 people, but none of those people had a blue tick available next to their name. So we are not led to believe that these are high profile individuals or celebrities or influencers, but we don't know who those people are as yet. So what's important here is to understand that this was not a technical incident per se. This was not an outside party directing tools or facilities at Twitter and being able to break through any kind of systems or break through any kind of encryption. This is a very sophisticated piece of social engineering, which is using your ability to coerce people and to manipulate people and to lead them to believe that you are somebody that you're not, to gain access to passwords, credentials, and that could be done through using phishing emails. It could be done through reviewing social media accounts, befriending people, a whole number of different activities. We don't fully know how they did it, and I don't think we will know until Twitter have finished their internal investigations, because what they don't want to do is obviously give away the repairs that they're doing, which would then allow somebody else to come in and make further activities. The big takeaways from the Twitter hack, well, the first big takeaway is if it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. There is no reason for somebody to double your Bitcoin for no particular reason. Admittedly, we do see some fairly ridiculous tweets coming from Donald Trump. So if you saw his one, you may well have believed it because it's Donald Trump. We'll leave that one just there. But generally, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So if you're getting an email, if you're getting a text, if somebody's offering you free money, then it's very likely to be part of a phishing attack. You're better off deleting it. The second thing that we can learn from this is that absolutely anybody, any organisation, any tech company, any company in the world is susceptible to a hacking attack, is susceptible to a cyber attack. It doesn't always have to be technological. It doesn't always have to be about taking a company's systems down. It can be as simple as just trying to find out some credentials and some passwords and engineering your way into the organization so that you can then carry out malicious activities. There are, of course, ways that you can help your organization prepare and be aware of these kind of phishing attacks. But the main thing is training, awareness and education for your individuals within the organisation, and also in some instances accepting that if somebody really, really wants to get to you, they're probably going to do it, and how best can you protect yourself after the fact? Have you got cyber insurance? Do you have a breach incident response plan? Do you know how quickly you can shut down your systems? Do you have any internal forensics tools? These are all good things that you can look at, and all good things that Twitter have been very, very on top of, which is what you'd expect from a multi-billion-dollar tech company. So, while we know that there's been a lot going on last week, I do feel like the Twitter hack has been sort of parked to one side. I don't feel that the outcome of the hack is particularly serious. I don't know from what I've seen about what the hackers were saying that their intention was particularly malicious. They are saying that the money is going to go to good causes. Is that their own causes? Is that charity? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, but let's wait and see. But what it is a very important lesson in the differences between a technical attack and social engineering. And actually, anybody is susceptible to these kind of activities. That is it for this video. If we get any more information about the Twitter hack and what has happened, then obviously we will look to create some content around that. If you found this video useful, if you found it interesting, please do like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. It really does help us here at the Data Protection Diaries a great deal because it allows us to reach a wider audience. For now, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch this content. And obviously, if you have any questions, please do get in touch. Thanks so much.